Wait. A toast. A toast to, yes, long friendship. How hungry you must have been. And now for a little surprise. For a special occasion I've been saving. Cigars. Take one. No. Fire is good. Fire is good. Yes, fire is our friend. Yes, I'll show you. I'll show you. You see? Yeah. Do you have your cigar? Let me see. All right. Now. Just hold it right there. Now. Don't inhale until the tip glows. Wow! Wait! Where are you going? I was going to make espresso.
All right, what a tragic loss today as date of recording. As you guys may know, Gene Hackman passed away. What a huge talent. He will be missed. I'm Adrian. Welcome to Nerd at Heart. And along with me is my co-host.
Patrick, as always, guys. Great to be here. Happy to see you.
So, I remember we were rocking up to work today, and basically that was pretty much the first thing on the list is that the passing of the legendary actor Gene Hackman. For me, I mean, and I'm sure for you as well. I mean, he has always kind of been there and been one of those character actors who was extremely successful. He, just absolutely, I mean, and there were a few times where he was a lead actor in movies as well. But I will always know him as Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeves run of Superman, and as the blind monk in Young Frankenstein. I know he did a lot more dramatic stuff that into the Oscars, but to me, those were my favorites.
My personal favorite is, he played almost the villain in Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven.
Yes, that's a good movie.
He did really good in that. He was really great. I mean, just the chemistry of the characters between him and Eastwood, it was really good. It's for those of you that don't know, it's one of the best Westerns ever made. Go check it out, but again, and Gene Hackman himself was found dead, but also his wife, and his their family pet, their dog.
So there's plenty of details. I mean, of course, you can go online. Some of it getting a little bit onto the too much information. But we're still a little bit in the dark as to the exact cause of Mr. Hackman's passing. He basically the police are saying it's suspicious enough, but more than likely probably not foul play. So they still have to investigate to see what happened. But
I mean, Gene Hackman, he was 95 years old. He had a very long, very successful life, and he even retired from acting in the the 2000s. I mean, so he's been out of the game for a while now.
I was reading, I think apparently the last movie that they have him credited for is Welcome to Mooseport in 2004.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I mean, he'd been acting well in from the 60s at least. So, and I mean, of course, there are other movies like The French Connection where he played Popeye Doyle. And there's Hoosiers as well. There's tons of movies, and he's left a litany of stellar performances, as well as some really ham-fisted ones. Again, i.e., Lex Luthor. But you know, it's sad to see him go. So we wish his family, you know, our greatest condolences. We absolutely are sorry for their loss, and you know, and unexpected at that. So, but you know, so guys, please keep them in your hearts, and well, you know, tomorrow's another day. We'll keep moving forward.
Yeah. You know, and you know, again, we always have him in the films that we treasure, you know, so there are chances to see him in, you know, his acting prowess still.
Yep.
And that's the best thing we can take away from this is, you know, we still have him here in a way,
Yeah.
you know, so he's not completely gone.
So, I mean, how do you really transition from that? But on to some lighter news. Let's move to something that might be a little bit more uplifting, maybe
Yeah.
with a little bit of a twinge of sadness tied to this, you
Yeah.
know, because what good story isn't always, you know, tied to a bit of sadness. Let's talk about Skeleton Crew, because we didn't get to do a final review. We did an episode where we broke down some of the episodes, but
Yeah.
so instead of doing that, let's talk about the whole series as it sits. And then we can talk a little bit about some of the repercussions that have kind of come around.
Yeah.
And so first things first, it was good.
It was
It
good.
was great.
It was good. I mean, it was an honest to God. I mean, this was a win. I mean, this was a huge win. It was an amazing show.
Yeah.
All of the actors in it did a phenomenal job. The story's there. The atmosphere's there. I mean, Jude Law was amazing as
Fantastic.
Jogna Norwood, Captain Silvo,
Yes.
whoever he is.
And
I mean, whoever
it
he is.
was such a, yeah, and you're right when you're saying whoever he is, because he was such a complex character. He went from being villainous to childlike in some respects, because he didn't know he was you can feel the sense that he was ultimately looking for something.
Yeah.
He was looking for that X marks the spot that would lead to his happiness, to his whatever.
He was. He really was.
Yeah. And then on top of him, I mean, the young actors who played in the show were phenomenal.
Yeah.
They did a great job. I mean, Fern, KB, Wim, and Neil, you know, the characters that played them. I don't know the actors' names off the top of my head, you know, but they were such great characters. They were complex. They weren't too silly. They weren't too weird. You know, they really, you know,
they did a good job. Yeah, they did a good job at being kids.
Yes,
in Star Wars
situation.
Yeah, and it felt natural. I mean, the flow of the show was good. It felt like a natural thing happening. And you can tell it's not like this episode is about da-da-da, but, you know, each character kind of has their moment to shine. You really see, like in episode 4, Neil kind of, you know, changes a whole planet's mindset because he's like, maybe have you guys ever just stopped trying to fight? KB has her moment because she has a disability. And she's like, you know, you don't have to treat me different so much. You know, I can be myself without you treating me different all the time.
Yeah.
Fern has to learn to stop trying to be, her mother's daughter. I mean, which is the trope of, I have to live up to expectations constantly. And Wim, in his sense of adventure, gets tempered in a sense that he has to step more into reality. And he can't be in the clouds all the time because, that's not reality. And it's going to come back and bite him in the butt. And I mean, honestly, it's a solid show. Tons of alien species. I think this Star Wars show gave us the most aliens we've seen on the screen in a minute. Yeah. And I'm so happy about that. And it wasn't like CGI aliens. I mean, they got out the creature costumes. They had people in them. You can tell. And they look good. I mean, they look really good. And the acting from everybody was phenomenal. I mean, there's so much going on. It's such a... And what's also nice about it is you can watch Skeleton Crew, and it's a standalone adventure.
Yes.
It's not linked to anything else really happening. You don't have to watch The Mandalorian. You don't have to watch Ahsoka. You don't even have to watch the Book of Boba Fett. You can just sit down, watch Skeleton Crew, all 8 episodes, and it'll feel good. You'll feel content by the end of it.
Wasn't there word that Jod Nanawa might be popping back up later on?
Yeah, so there is word that Jude Law has been retained by Disney, as well as maybe some of the child actors, to show up later, which a lot of people are hoping for a season 2. I personally want a season 2.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian's even with me on this one, guys. He wants a season 2, but Jod should be showing up either in not the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but Filoni's movie, which will begin filming next year.
Yeah.
So Jude Law has been retained to reprise his role, possibly in that, and potentially a season 2 of Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, and gosh, and it's just, I mean, there's so much that we can really say about this series.
Yeah.
It's just, it's as simple as an adventure and as complex as a dramatic story. Whenever you deal with, what the kids had to go through, so it's like I said, as complex as you want it to be. It's as simple as you want it to be. The story is well crafted and well written, and it ultimately leads to some fantastic characters which have a bright future in the Star Wars universe at large.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, SM-33,
Yes. Now I don't want to speak for Adrian here, but I think I will speak a little bit, for him when I say what I'm about to say. SM-33.
What do you want?
The one-eyed pirate droid that the kids activate.
Yeah.
In what is, I believe it's in episode 2 they activate him.
No, actually he activates in episode 1 at the end when the ship starts taking off.
Right.
And then it's episode 2 when you start hearing him coming down, like looking
really
for the captain.
Come up. Yeah. Okay. So SM-33 is probably, nothing against Jude Law's character, nothing against SM-33, who is voiced by Nick Frost, is the greatest thing to come out of this show.
I think so. I'm sitting
as
here
as far as droids are concerned, it is the greatest thing to come out of this show, because we haven't seen a droid with this level of personality since probably K2SO.
I was just thinking of that.
In Rogue One. I mean, he's funny.
Initiating babysitting sequence. Come on, baby.
He talks back.
You insolent!
He knows how to fight. I mean, it's a really good droid.
How rude.
I mean, as far as a droid's concerned, SM-33, I mean, for a lot of people, entered into their top 5 after like a couple episodes.
Oh yeah, he just I mean, almost from his first lines, He has a really great arc when it comes to it, and some of the funniest lines in the entire series.
And I feel bad that the show, I personally feel this way, didn't get as much attention as it should have.
Sure, yeah.
Because I mean, it's such a great show. I mean, Adrian, I'm going to ask you in a second, but me personally, I would rate it a solid 9.25 out of 10. I mean, a solid rating from me. Adrian,
Yes.
what would you give it?
Oh no, I mean, in terms of ratings, I'm definitely in the 9 territory with you as well.
Yeah.
Because there's very few moments of the series that are absolutely dead space. In fact, the slowest episode is the first episode. And that is just to establish what the world is of and that the kids are coming from, and what that looks like and why they want to leave, giving them motivation to do so. But and so it drags, but all the other episodes, subsequent episodes from 2 to 8, are just absolutely chock-a-block with action, thrills, humor, emotion. When in episode 6, I think the one where KB is having, her issues, when she started having an issue, I mean, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's not a long series. It's only 8 episodes.
And the episodes aren't that long, guys. I mean, they range from about 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes an episode.
Yeah, they're very heartfelt episodes. In a lot of ways, especially dealing with the kids. You have a whole and each kid kind of gets his or her own episode.
They do.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
because you're not wrong. I mean, even and you fall in love with the characters. I mean, my wife's favorite character is Neil. She's very happy to be a part of
very
Neil
popular
Nation.
Neil.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's the little blue elephant kid. And what's nice is each kid also, like I said earlier, they fit some kind of thing. Neil is pretty normal. He has a great family life. He has 3 siblings. He has a mom and a dad, and he just wants to go home. I mean, he's like, I mean, at one point he even says in the thing, like, I just want to go home, man. Wim wants an adventure. He wants to escape from reality. He wants to escape from the confines of, the home world at Atten, and he just wants to zoom off somewhere. Fern wants to get out from under her mom's shadow. She wants to, not exactly have an adventure, but she wants to be her own boss because she's tired of living under her mother's thumb this whole time. And KB just wants to be treated normal.
Yeah.
I mean, she has a disability, and everybody's always like tiptoeing around her because like, you're not normal. And she's like, I just want to be normal.
Yeah.
Well,
she's a child that has to face limitations because she talks about it. And this is part of when you get to episode 6, I believe, where she discusses that she wants to do all of these things with her best friend, who's Fern, but she's ultimately falls short and fears that she can't do things.
Yeah.
And it is a very strong and real emotion, for kids, especially with disabilities and, even some adults, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is so this show is full of it.
Yeah,
I mean, full of emotions. Okay. And guys, it's a great look. This is the first show that I can actually say you could watch as a family. For the most, I mean, there's nothing really ultra violent.
No.
There's nothing lewd. So it is well within the guidelines of at least, kids, kids, look, I'm showing my 9-year-old, I wouldn't be afraid to show him if he was 7, so any 7 and up, TV 7,
I mean, and it really comes across like the first family Star Wars show. I mean, like you're saying, I mean, you know, I mean, I think it was releasing every Tuesday night, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly. And
Tuesday 9, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern.
yeah, I mean, that, don't get me wrong, Eastern time, that's a little late for the kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really is, like Adrian's right. It's the first show you can really kind of sit down with the family, have fun with. I mean, my wife isn't really that much into Star Wars, and she even sat down and watched it because she loved Neil. It has something for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
she loved Neil because she's like, wow, you know, when we have kids, she's like, she wants our kids to be like Neil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because he's such a nice little kid. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's nice, is none of the kids are really bullies. They're not any of that trope. I mean, they're
Mhm.
all in like maybe middle school, late
It
elementary
looks to be
school.
that way, at least
Yeah.
late elementary. But I'm thinking, yeah, late elementary, middle
Early
school. You
middle.
know,
I mean, because they're taking some kind of big test that's going to determine their job placement.
yes,
But I mean, they're all nice, great kids that have their own challenges and goals that they're trying to meet. And
yeah,
I mean, even like, you know, we've talked about SM33. He's great. Even Jod Nanawood like really has a moment where you really feel for him.
yeah,
This is later on. This is in like episode 8. He's explaining like why he is doing what he's doing, and it's because he grew up with nothing.
yeah,
He was living in a hole in the ground. His biggest concern was finding something to eat day in and day out. And a Jedi on the run found him, said he had potential, showed him a few tips and tricks, and then
yeah,
she was found by the Inquisitors or the Empire. He's not real specific,
yeah.
and she was executed in front of him.
Yeah, I think the thing is that you know, so no character is kind of not given an arc. I mean, even SM33 is given an arc.
Yeah.
You know, in a less dramatic way,
Yeah.
but you know, but
I
let's
mean,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, even with, like I was saying with Jod, I mean, you can see like why he's so cynical now.
yeah,
I mean, like he saw his master get executed in front of him, and his whole tangent is survive. I mean, that's like his one goal these days:
yeah,
survive. And his belief is to survive, you need money,
yeah.
which he's not that wrong from everyday life. I mean, the
Mhm.
reality is, you want to survive, you want to thrive, you need money.
So
And
yeah,
yeah, I mean, overall, it's just a wide range of things, like Adrian was saying. I mean, and that's why it ranks so high. I mean, if you haven't seen the show, I am begging you,
yeah.
go
It
watch it.
in terms of like Rotten Tomatoes and things like this, it's one of the higher rated shows that they put out.
93,
Yeah, I
93%.
mean it's got this is a fantastic show. So now let's before we, you know, I mean, because we're painting a very
Vivid.
positive picture of this.
Yeah.
But the thing is what is post Skeleton Crew look like for Star Wars? And that's the problem because ultimately, as much as we could say and Rotten Tomatoes and all the critics and all the people, that Skeleton Crew, unfortunately, as of this point, is one of the lowest rated show that popped out for Star Wars, at least in the live action series. So even when compared to our not so favorite Acolyte. So it's actually 20% less viewership on the opening episodes for the Acolyte. I mean, from the Acolyte to the Skeleton Crew. Now, is this a long-term side effect of the Acolyte? Is this a, you know, or is this just a general malaise when it comes to people actually watching Star Wars? You know, have people started to become a little tired of it? And that's a question we have to ask.
It's a good question too. I mean, because we saw the same thing happen when they released The Last Jedi in December of 2017. And 6 months later, they released Solo in May in 2018. And Solo got significantly less viewership. And there's a lot of things you have to take into account there. I'm not here to disagree or agree The Last Jedi was good, The Last Jedi was bad. I'm here to say The Last Jedi divided the Star Wars fan base. I mean, you either hated it or you loved it.
Yeah.
I don't care. But it divided the fan base right down the middle. And 6 months later, that division was still there, to the point where even at Comic Cons, people were getting in fist fights because of, again, you either hated it or you loved it. And Solo suffered from that, but it also suffered from the fact that, yes, it's about Harrison Ford, and they didn't, cast a guy that a lot of people agreed could have been or should have been Harrison Ford. Me personally, I mean, I love Solo, the movie. Woody Harrelson's amazing in it. Emilia Clarke as Kira is awesome. They've really expanded her character in the comics. I heavily ask people to go check those out. She's great in it. She's amazing. Even fights Darth Vader at one point. Really cool. But I think the same thing happened here. The Acolyte divided the fan base again, to the point where you either hated the show or you loved the show. Now, there seems to be, because it was a show, it wasn't a movie, there's not as much division because you can choose to watch it or not, and it's 8 episodes. So you didn't have to watch the whole thing, so on and so forth. But because The Acolyte was bad, and it only got canceled a month after the last episode aired, that didn't spell well for Star Wars. And it ended in August. Yeah, it ended in August, and it was 4 months until Skeleton Crew came around. I mean, 4 months is a long time. Yeah. And I think
especially if you have a bitter taste in your mouth,
Exactly. And for a lot of people, The Acolyte was a bitter taste. Even for a lot of people, again, they're not fans of Star Wars. My wife and me sat down, we've watched a little bit of it, and her thing is like, yeah, it's kind of disjointed. It's not as good as it could have been. This is kind of weird of a TV show, and she's not a fan of Star Wars. I mean, that's the thing. They can slap Star Wars on something. That doesn't automatically make it good.
Yeah.
I mean, I can slap Star Wars on a steaming pile of crap. It's still a steaming pile of crap.
Or an Acolyte.
But, so what ends up happening is, the fan base, like Adrian said, still had a bitter taste in their mouths. We get the Skeleton Crew, and a lot of them are like, okay, I'm done. Like, Acolyte was the final nail in the coffin. I'm done with this. I'm done with the TV. I'm waiting on Mandalorian and Grogu, which is coming in 26.
Yeah.
Peace. I'm canceling.
It's like, I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with Mandalorian and Grogu. I can watch this.
Yeah. I mean, they pieced out. They canceled the Disney Plus subscription. They called it a day.
And nothing for nothing, but in the end, let's face it, even Patrick and I, when we were getting close to the Skeleton Crew after the Acolyte, we were sitting there going,
I want it to be good,
really bad.
I want it to be good.
I want it to be good, but Disney's track record, this could be really bad.
I'm ready.
And we were bracing ourselves for something horrible. Yeah. I mean, and maybe that's why we really like the Skeleton Crew, because it didn't wind up being something horrible. I mean, but the thing is that I think we're be pretty objective about this, because a lot of people agreed. It's not horrible. It's good. No, it's watch it.
It's really a good show. I mean, critics and viewers alike have all commented the same thing. It's a great show. Whether you're even a Star Wars fan or not, it's a great show. I mean, and see, that's the difference. This is, a great thing with Star Wars branded on it, and it shows.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be a fan of Star Wars to go watch this, to see what a nice show this is. Yeah. having Star Wars on it is really just a bonus at this point, a nice bonus,
Yeah.
but a bonus all the same. And I mean, and then that's the thing is, effectively speaking, Skeleton Crew is I believe the first Disney Plus show without a Jedi. No Jedi. If you think about it, because Mandalorian, by the time you get to season 2, Ahsoka shows up and Luke shows up.
What about Andor?
You're right. Okay, you got me there. Andor doesn't have a Jedi.
I haven't even watched all of Andor.
I had to think about it. You got me there. But let me put it like this: during the Filoniverse, this is the first one without any kind of Jedi, anything like that. The Ahsoka show has her and Sabine, and for all intents and purposes, they're Jedi now. The Mandalorian has showed us Luke and Ahsoka. Even the Book of Boba Fett had in it Ahsoka and Luke, and Baby Yoda, Grogu, who has had Jedi training. I mean, even though he has chosen the path of the Mandalorian, you still got to see that in the Book of Boba Fett. Skeleton Crew is the first Filoniverse film with no real Jedi people.
Yeah. Just a little bit of powers that Jod Nanawa has.
Yeah,
he's not a fully trained Jedi. He's not even a Padawan.
I mean, he got like maybe 2-3 weeks tops.
Yeah.
And he knows how to do like a little bit of force push or pull. That's it. I mean, that's all he showed. I think that's all he showed.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the damage that was done, despite the fact that Skeleton Crew could have been a real boon to the Star Wars verse kind of thing, it ultimately was not enough to really push interest back into a television-based Star Wars world, So, or at least for now. It doesn't mean that we won't see a sequel to Skeleton Crew. Maybe, if people keep watching it and keep boosting the numbers to it, it'll surpass at least the Acolyte. But I think ultimately the long-term, or at least short-term damage has been done, that this current year is going to be as far as Star Wars content, a veritable, arid wasteland almost. Because as it is right now, we do have Andor season 2 coming out. There are some comics, there are some books, but these are things that were already in production and really couldn't stop. There is filming this year.
Yeah.
You're getting Ahsoka.
Filming. Yeah, season 2.
Season 2 of Ahsoka is filming this year.
Yeah,
and maybe some pickups for Mando and Grogu.
Yeah, Adrian is right, though. It is a veritable wasteland right now. As it stands, we are getting Andor season 2, April 22nd, and at some point this year, we will be getting Star Wars Visions Volume 3, which they've gone back to the studios in Japan to make more of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be a continuation or brand new stuff. We're probably going to find out more at Star Wars Celebration Japan, more than likely, because that's where it's all coming out of. But effectively speaking, there's some comics, there's a couple of books. What is it? Fear of the Empire, Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear by Alexander Freed is coming out this month. There's a few more comics that have been announced. We've talked about the Wayseeker novel. We talked about the Bad Batch novel. There's nothing else. And it's really...
and we just got that Instagram notification that you showed me, where basically, even though Hasbro has seen an increase in overall profits, I should say, wasn't it like 7.5%?
Yeah, it was 7.5%.
However, as they push forward in their toy line, there's going to be an increase in Marvel, G.I. Joe, and Magic the Gathering figures. However, there is no mention of Star Wars. So which unfortunately means that Star Wars may be getting a little bit left behind here, as I think, and maybe we can agree that Star Wars is they're waiting, maybe kind of creating a little bit of a hunger for it.
Yeah.
There are some figures coming out. SM33 is coming out at some point
in July.
One of the
should
few
be
things
released
that I actually in July, but one of the few things that I'm sitting here going, I want, in terms of figures. I don't really collect figures, so, but I want an SM33. However, I mean, so what we're looking at here is, maybe they're trying to build up some of this desire to have Star Wars again, to kind of, maybe we have been being fed too much.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know.
And on one last tangent, I before we call it an episode, call it a day, I want to say that we officially have 3 ongoing titles that are coming out of this right now. We have Star Wars Secrets of the Jedi. Not Secrets of the Jedi. We have, sorry about that, Star Wars Legacy of Vader. I don't know where I got Secrets of the Jedi. Star Wars Legacy of Vader, which follows Kylo Ren right after Episode 8. The first issue dropped this month. It's amazing. It's really good. It's getting a second printing in March. There's talks of a third printing. It's extremely good. I can't recommend it enough. It really even blew me away. I was like, wow, this is good. It's by Charles Soule, who, if you're familiar with Star Wars, he's done so much work for Star Wars. They've made him a Star Wars associate at Lucasfilm. Like, he's paid to bring his expertise to the Star Wars canon timeline. In March, next month, my birthday month, they're coming out with Star Wars Jedi Knights, which will be an anthology series, but an ongoing one, where we'll follow different Jedi: Yoda, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, which takes place before Episode 1. I'm really excited about that. And then the next ongoing comic isn't coming out for a while. It's going to come out May 7th. It's going to be Star Wars. They're rebranding it. And it's going to take place after Episode 6. And it's going to follow Han, Luke, Leia, and Lando and Chewbacca as they navigate the New Republic. So, hey, more Luke content after Episode 6. I know a lot of people have been asking for that for years. It's finally coming. It's in the form of comics, but at this point, like Adrian said, I'm taking what I can get at this point, because other than that, there's a good bit of figures, but we don't have that many comics or books coming. I mean, and the High Republic is ending June 19th with the last book coming out, also by Charles Soule. So, I mean, that initiative's ending. Andor's the final season. It was only getting 2 seasons from the get-go. A lot of stuff for Star Wars is ending. There's not a lot of new stuff being made. So hopefully we'll see more come April for Star Wars Celebration Japan. But in the meantime, I'm thankful, for what I am getting. And hopefully, though, we get a little more. But again, this has been, Patrick at Nerd at Heart.
Yeah, and I'm Adrian, guys. So please, please, please like and subscribe us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. We'd love to have you guys come back, and we'll talk about some other stuff, but we really had to get some of this Star Wars stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, you have a great day. We'll see you next week. Look for new episodes to come out with some other guests. Can't wait for you guys to get to see them. All right.
All right. Peace.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.